The VDA audit is the audit process. See, whatever may be the organization, if the audit process is strong, then the efficiency of the organization definitely will go up and will get sustained. So in that connection, the recent audit process VDA 6 is going to give us the enhancement of knowledge on audit process and how our process can be stabilized further to improve upon our rejections and the customer satisfaction. So now I request Mr. Hema Prasad, the council member of Chennai chapter, to introduce Mr. Suresh Babu to the forum. Now over to Suresh, Hema Prasad to introduce Mr. Suresh Babu to the forum. Hema Prasad?
Sir, thank you, Chairman. So it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Mr. Suresh Babu. He holds a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering in 1997 from Sri Venkateswara College of Engineering, Sri Perambatoor. Then he holds master's degree in quality management in 2009 from Birkani, Rajasthan. He's having additional qualification of ISO certified ISO 9000, ISO 14001, ISO 45001, third-party lead auditor practitioner. Then he holds a Six Sigma black belt, then certified VDA 6.3 process audit practitioner. He started his career in 1990 at Simpson's Company, Anna Salai, as an assistant engineer incoming quality. During his tenure, he is responsible for quality of parts received from suppliers, individually responsible for quality of cylinder block and cylinder head castings received from Innur Foundries, DCM, JNL, Ashok Ironworks, etc. Then in 2002, he left from the Simpsons. Then in 2002 to 2011, he worked with certification bodies as third-party audit ISO 9001, 14001, and OSHA's 18001. And he also trained for ISO awareness and internal auditor courses. He currently working in Madras Engineering Industries Private Limited as Deputy General Manager Quality since January 2012. He various roles in MEA as representative, Foundry Quality Head, Projects Manager, VDA 6.3 Supplier Quality, etc. As well as he is a trainer in quality and soft skills topics. So totally he is having a 26 plus years of experience in quality and QMS activities. So now its floor is yours, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I welcome all the Foundrymen for this training session, and thanks to IAF Chennai chapter. I will start the session now. So today we are going to discuss about VDA QMC 6 Part 3. This is a German-based standard. Let me go step by step. We are going to discuss on the 4th edition of the VDA standard, which was released in Jan 2023. VDA stands for a German word. Its expansion is Verban der Automobile Industry. It means in English, the German Association of the Automotive Industry. QMC is the organization which releases this standard in German. That is called as Quality Management Center. So hence this term VDA QMC 6 Part 3. So let us have an approach of the root cause analysis. Why the same fashion to break through what is VDA. So what is VDA 6.3? Basically, it is a process-based audit standard. It is for evaluating the process and improving the controls both at the new product introduction stage and also at the manufacturing process during serious production. So what is the purpose of this VDA is you have to identify and assess and manage a risk. The term risk in VDA's terminology, it states that whatever is going to have an impact on the customer with respect to the product, those are called as risk. So to avoid or to minimize the risk on the product which are being dispatched to the customer, we have to control the process. VDA involves understanding suppliers, managing the change, focusing on customer requirements and satisfaction. So basically VDA, the structure is like this. You have an element. The element subgroup, you have sub-elements. And the final classification is process steps. So let us break it one by one. What is it? First of all, elements. What does it mean by elements? There are totally 7 elements in VDA 6.3. The first element is potential analysis. This is called P1. So P1 covers questions from P2 to P7. So the next three elements are the development phase elements. The second is called as the project management, P2, planning of product and production process development, P3, implementation. So these three covers the development phase up to R&D handing over to series production. Once series production comes, series production has another three phases: supplier management, P5, production process analysis, P6, customer service, P7. So totally elements are 7 elements. So whatever starts with P, P1, P2 up to P7, these are called as elements. This is a major broad classification of VDA 6.3. Next, the sub-classification is sub-elements. What do you mean by sub-elements? Sub-elements totally are 59 questions, 59 sub-questions of process element 2 to process element 7. This covers the sub-elements. For example, some notification is P6.1. It states how the project is handed over from development phase to series production, and all the parameters are taken under control. P7.4 star indicates a critical question. Wherever there are impact to the customer, such questions are indicated with star. Star is risk to the customer or predominant. There are around 18 out of 59 questions which are indicated as star-based question. This is called as product and process-based risk questions. And the final classification is the process step. So let us see what is meant by process step. Process step is generally applicable only to the process element of P6 alone, not for the other sub-elements, other process elements, sorry. So P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, and P7 doesn't carry a process step. Like we say in IATF 7.5.1.1, the similar fashion, the process step here means the second decimal, P6.1.1. That refers to a process step. So for example, as I said right now, handing over of the projects to the development to series production and is a reliable start guaranteed. So any VDA questionnaire will have two sides. One side is called as the minimum requirements. You can compare it with the IATF. Like we say in IATF, shall requirement. Here in VDA, they say it as minimum requirements. Each process step or process sub-element has a paragraph which says about the minimum requirements which has to be practiced if you want to supply to the European markets. On the right-hand side as examples. That examples is for us to understand the minimum requirements. It can be there or you can customize your own examples. The ultimate requirement is you have to fulfill the left-hand side which is indicated as minimum requirements for implementation under each process step or process sub-element. So I have given you some examples. P6.2.1, one more process step which says that are the requirements in production control plan as well as the production and inspection documents complete and are they effectively implemented? So this question has around 3 or 4 paragraphs which needs to be implemented in the shop floor. So VDA is not a system-based audit, it is a process-based audit where the process requirements are being monitored or being drilled down to the finer levels. So where is VDA applicable? Next question. So it caters to the automotive industries originating from Germany. The requirements are unique and complex. Both mix is there. So it has similarities with relevant to other automotive standards, but it is not fully similar with IATF. In other words, we call VDA as a CSR, customer specific requirement. The base standard IATF is mandatory to supply to German, either IATF or VDA 6.1, which is equivalent to IATF, which they follow in German. These two are mandatory, plus this VDA 6.3 requirement is additional. So the Germans say this as a customer specific requirement, CSR. Let us have a small comparison between VDA 6.3 and IATF, because already most of us will be familiar with IATF. Just to make VDA easy to understand, let us have a comparison. So VDA is a process-based audit. IATF is a quality management system compliance standard. VDA focuses on the processes to ensure customer satisfaction. IATF concentrates on the systems implementation to ensure customer satisfaction. So these are the differences. How to implement VDA 6.3? Let us go step by step, just to have some examples to understand this theory. The first basic thing, what they say in VDA is, you should have a turtle diagram. The turtle diagram should be given by the process owner. Suppose, for example, I'm going to audit a melting department. So I have to inform the melting team well in advance that I'm going to come for the audit. You please give me the turtle diagram of your melting department. If that is the case, suppose example, I share an example here. This is the turtle diagram. For example, a turtle diagram has 6 boxes. What they say in VDA is an input and output. So, for example, for melting, I have made these inputs: production plan, charge mix, base chemistry, charging, furnace power. These are the inputs. To having these inputs, the expected output is molten metal meets quality requirements, molten metal of right quantity at right temperature. So once input is there, input they say in VDA as P6.1, output is called as 6.6. Then the next sub element after input is your process operations. That is your process flow, what you do in melting. So raw material weighment, process work instructions, chemistry confirmation, spectrocoin, work instruction for temperature, melting data log sheet, slag removal. So these are all I do it in the melting. So once I do it, straight diagonally opposite, go to the personal resources. What are the skills that I require to do it? That is called as P6.3. So competency to work in melting, skill matrix, training, PPEs. Once I have the resources, personal resources, then I jump to the material resources, P6.4. About all the materials: furnace, vibrator, feeder, bins, pyrometer, crane, electromagnet, weighing scale, etc., etc. Once all this is available, I should do it in an effective manner. Effectiveness, VDA focuses on customer satisfaction. Performance indicator is for the companies. So composition, there should be no deviation. Power consumption, number of units per ton. Lining durability, number of hits, metal output per day. These are the effective parameters which we monitor on a daily basis, on a monthly basis. We review in the monthly review meetings. So of all this, then the final thing is, what is the output expected? So this is called a turtle diagram. Before we start an VDA audit in the shop floor, before going to a melting department and doing an audit, the process owner must submit this to the person who is coming for the audit. This is the first step what VDA says. The reason being, the next step is the VDA auditor who comes for the audit, based on the turtle model being submitted, he should be in a position to do a homework based on his background experience of working in a similar industry, foundry or machine shop, whatever industry he has worked, his expertise plus his basic theory knowledge. He should be in a position to identify the risk of, or potential risk, which he can note down. So this also is an off-site work which he has to do. Let me share the example for the same melting, what the VDA auditor should do. So whatever inputs, etc. has been received, so I have made a potential risk with my team. Step 2, input, there can be a wrong chemistry, like high chromium, high copper, power interruptions can happen. These are all the questions I should go and ask in the shop floor and see that the risk is mitigated, controlled, or is still the risk prevails. So now at this stage, these are only potential risks as of now. So this is the input. Let us go to the output. Molten metal not meeting the composition, less or more metal weight, low or high temperatures, improper molten metal preparation resulting in shrinkages. This can be the expected outputs. Then I go to the second step called as process flow. In process flow, what can be the potential risk based on the inputs given by the auditor, process owner. So raw material weighment error, not adhering the standard operating procedures, spectro calibration error, pyrometer error, slag not fully skimmed, superheating of the molten metal. These can all these can go wrong in the shop floor. So this homework I should do first as a VDA auditor before going to the shop floor. Then personal risk, resources, what can be there, what can go wrong there. Incompetent person operating, all PPE is not worn due to external atmospheric conditions, absenteeism. Then when I jump to the material resources, again furnace and supporting equipments operating condition, grade mix-up of R&R, runner and riser, spectro chill coin die condition. So then I go to the effectiveness performance indicator. So what will result in the effectiveness? Deviation in the composition, not meeting targeted power consumption, lining worn out, unplanned failures, improper planning. So keeping this in mind, I should go to the audit, spend time with the team, and so the next step. So this step is an optional step. What they call in VDA is based on your standard what you have, you should prepare your own checklist so that you cover all the requirements. This is called as look for checklist. What to look at, and in that particular topic, what are the sub elements to look for. Here also let me show an example. For example, 6.2.3. So this is a question in the book. 6.2 is an element or all production process controlled. This is a question. Under P6, P6.2, we have 6.2.3 process step, all special characteristics controlled in production. So based on the VDA standard, I have classified as look for. What needs to I have to see. So some small hints. So I will ask the process owner or the team member, what are the special characteristics? Is it specified in the drawing? Is it marked in your production control plan? How is it systematically monitored and documented? How do you maintain records of deviation, and what are the corrective action for this? Records of special characteristics. So how to retrieve any customer requirement. So for all this, I will note down here what are the observations after interaction with the process owner in the shop floor. So they are given some examples also. So like this, for each and every process step, you must have your own look for checklist, which the VDA recommends is a good practice, so that you don't waste process owner's time, as well as you cover the entire subject, so that no points is being missed out when you prepare the final report. So once these off-site works are being done, then at the shop floor, the auditor and the process owner starts the VDA auditing based on the checklist what the auditor has prepared. So here I will show you the example. So it is just an example. For example, column A is the minimum requirement. If you see here, minimum requirements relevant for assessment. This is how the book says. These and all are shall requirement for this particular process sub-element P5.3. Have targets for supplier performance been agreed upon is the question. And is the achievements of the targets regularly assessed? For this question, they have given a list of shall requirement on the left-hand side and an example on the right-hand side. So I should make sure that all this requirement on the left-hand side is being covered. Only for that purpose, I prepare that look for checklist. So based on the checklist, I note down the values, and finally when I give the report, this is the report I'm giving on the right side. Observations, stroke required actions. So what all is okay, I'm giving it as black font. What all needs improvement, I'm just making as a red font for identification. So these are the areas the team has to work upon. The similar fashion, you have to do it for all the 59 questions you have for all the processes put together. So this is called step 4, shop floor audit. So let us go into the history now. So we see a real-time example how it has to be executed. Let us go into the history. VDA was started 3 decades before. It was first published in 1998, revised in 2010, again in 2016. Now the latest standard is Jan 2023 is the latest requirement of VDA 6 Part 3. It is an important method for identifying the strengths and weaknesses of the process. Let us see some of the key characteristics in VDA. As I told you before, specific product and process risk questions are identified with a star mark. For example, and the example what we saw now, or special characteristics controlled. So special characteristics, what we say, or the critical parameters. So those critical parameters is identified with a star question. So star is important question where you have to secure complete mark. That is advisable. So it focuses on the product and the process rather than on the system as IATF does. So the logic is, if the processes are fine, then the end result, the product will be automatically fine. So VDA basically is being integrated into a company's QM system, quality management system. For example, what we do in our company is, so whatever VDA requirement we are practicing now, we have an IATF procedure, IATF manual. Finally, for each questions, whatever we come across, we integrate into our IATF manual the VDA requirement also, so that that requirement is being practiced, audited by external, internal, so that a lot of brainstorming happens and the real essence is being felt in the shop floor. Let us go into one by one. Potential analysis, the first process element of VDA, P1. What do you mean by potential analysis? When it is being done? It is generally done before awarding a contract to a supplier. So the reason for doing a P1 by the customer is to suitably identify a new supplier, or when there is a location change, or there is a new technology addition, or the combination of all these three. In these criteria, generally they go for a P1, potential analysis. This potential analysis is applied to the entire supply chain. So while doing an audit by the customer identifies what is the lead time required for this company to come to SOP. By experience, they know what the lead time required based on the assessment being done in the P1. The reason being, P1 covers questions from selected questions from P2 to P7. It is similar to doing an entire audit, but only selected few questions from all the sections. Let us see how it is. So potential analysis P1 has totally 35 questions. Out of 59 questions, 35 questions is covered in P1, that is at the time of awarding a contract. It covers few questions from P2 to P7. So it is done before awarding a contract. Here it is during series production, P2 to P7 process audit. The audit questions are like this. Each sub-element, these are the question classifications of the 59 questions. P2, P3, P4, P5, P6 production, which is the main area, it has 26 questions. P7 is the customer service, it has 5 questions. So 59 questions breakup is there. Star-based questions, how many questions are there? Product and process risk-based questions. In P2, you have 33%, P3, you have 33%, P4, 22%, P5, 29%, P6, 31, and P7, 40% of the question. Totally, 31% of the questions are star questions. And what are the questions during before awarding a contract? That is the last column. That is indicated as cross into symbol. So those questions are around 59% of the questions. Around 35 questions out of 59 is potential analysis questions. Majority of the questions is from production. 17 questions out of 26, which is 65%, and also customer service 80%, and project management 83%. So this is how it has been structuredly framed out. It is in a structured manner the VDA has been defined, so that when you follow that structure and go step by step, it is beneficial to the companies as well as to the customer. Customer is assured that he gets only good products. So let us compare the changes between the previous version and the current version. The previous version was released in December 2016, and the current version, which is in live now, is Jan. So software aspects has been added now. That is one of the advantages. If you use a software, for example, we use LabVIEW. So softwares, whatever we use, it has to be validated first, whether it is properly integrated with the company's BOM. Everything has to be checked, harmonized with the VDA standard. They call it as automotive SPICE. SPICE stands for Software Process Improvement and Capability Determination. This is called as automotive SPICE. Purchasing activities in the previous version was there only in P5 alone, supplier management. But as the standard gets evolved, so they are based on the feedback what the team has received, QMC has received, they are of the opinion that purchasing has to be stringent enough at the development phase also. So in the development phase in P3 and P4, planning and implementation also, now few of the questions of purchasing has been given emphasis, so that when the development happens, everything happens in a proper phase, so that the series production, the headaches are less. So there was a separate this thing for transport and parts handling, which has been omitted now, and it has been integrated into the respective process elements. There is no separate questions for transport and parts handling now. Questions with special significance. In the previous version also we had 18 questions, but those 18 questions, around 3 questions have been redefined in this new edition. Let us see what remains same between 2016 and 2023 version. What remains same? What remains same is the classification system. VDA has two methods. One is the scoring method, and the other is the classification method called ABC. During potential analysis, the initial phase, they give you only the traffic light signals, green, yellow, red. That's all. If you're 100% compliance, they say green. If you are 100% not compliance, they say red for a particular question. If some improvements is required, they mark it as yellow. So you get it as green, yellow, or red. So when the overall assessment happens, the overall assessment, you have scoring as well as downgrading. Downgrading from A to C, if some star-based questions you score less. So the classification system is basically in the series production, ABC overall assessment plus the scores. The evaluation model, the scores given for each question is 10, 8, 6, 4, or 0. Out of this 5, any one has to be given based on the objective evidence the auditee or the process owner gives you for your questions. So what needs to be asked, the hints are very clear in the VDA CSR. So you have to customize it to your foundry or machine shop requirement and post those questions and search for answers. This is what the scoring pattern means. 10 means fully met, no deviation. 0 means not met. These two are quite opposite, no doubts on that. 8, the standard says mainly met, minor deviations. What does it mean is, mainly met means almost met, so it doesn't have any impact on the customer. There is no risk to the customer because of putting 2 marks less. There is no impact on the customer. Such findings you should classify as 8. When it is partially met, it is classified as 6. When it is insufficient, major deviation is there, it is called 4. So these are the classifications. Let us drill down. What do you mean by mainly met? So as I said, mainly met, it means no special risk. So an standalone case which has been identified, but overall the system is fine. The regular working activity on the process in the shop floor is fine. Everything's okay. One isolated stray incidents. In such cases, it is called as mainly. So you give a score of 8 because there is no special risk. So what remains same from 2016 version to 2023 version of the standard is, one is a turtle model. It remains the same. Previous downgrading rules is the same. Next is on the identification of product and process based risk questions. Let us see how it is. So you have around 18 questions, out of which in December 2016 version, you had questions from resources required for project management, which was not there in 2016. Now it is included in 2023 version. purchasing activities must be included in the project was a star-based question in 2016. Now this star has been removed based on the feedbacks they received from the industry people. In such fashion, if you look at 3 red questions have been changed to green, and 3 green questions in 2016 star-based questions has been downgraded to not a risk-based question. So in total, you have around 18 product and process risk questions. Such questions you have where you have product and process risk. Such questions you have to identify with. You have to score full marks. That is important to avoid downgrading. So questions in 2016, which was no, and now which is yes, now is, let us see those questions. These are 3 questions. Resources required for project implementation, plan available and changes reported. So this was not a star-based question in 2016 version of the standard. Now it is being given importance. So all the resources for project management must be available. It is similar to an APQP planning. So process, whatever resources are required for the project, everything should be planned and should be available for each project. And any changes in the resources, that has to be reported. So you need to demonstrate evidence for this in the latest requirement of the standard. And the next question is P3.4 star. P3 stands for planning of the product and its implementation. Sorry, it's planning of the product alone. Have the procurement activities been planned? So whenever you do a procurement activities, has it been planned and it has been monitored for compliance? It was not there before. Now it is a star-based question. Has the project been handed over from development to serious production? And is a reliable start guaranteed? This is very important. This is where most of the team members fail. So the handover from development to production, the handshake should happen properly with all concerned process owners. That is very much mandatory in VDA 6.3, the latest version. So whatever has been the drawing specification, whether it has been properly achieved along with the PPAP documents, everything, it has to be handed over to the production and the quality guys in the shop floor. There should be a joint sign-off either between R&D, production and quality, or the PED guys and the production and the quality, so that whatever has been established during development stage, that he has to assure that everything is covered in the development stage so that the series production is perfect and there is a reliable start guaranteed. That is required in 2023 version. Let us see the instructions for use. So there are 2 questions they ask for. What is the difference between an aim and an objective? The standard asks for what do you understand by aim and what do you understand by objective. Let us see. Aim simply says that it is a statement of intent. So what you want to become in a broader term, that is called as a aim. Some dream. At the end of the project, I should be like this. I hope to achieve this, for example. Those are called as aims. Aims, when it becomes measurable, that is called as objective. So objectives are specific statements that defines measurable outcomes. Any measurable outcome is called as an objective. On a broader picture, it is called as aim. So example is, what steps will it take to achieve the desired outcome? So that is called as objective. So let us go into the topic, process audit. What does VDA say about process audit? What is the definition? What is the aim of process audit? And what is the objective of process audit as per the VDA standard? The standard says process audit, it means impartial analysis and the evaluation of the product development and implementation process, as well as you have to monitor effectiveness. So the team knows very well, effectiveness is always for the customer and efficiency is always for the top management. Customer satisfaction is effectiveness and VDA focuses on effectiveness. So it says very clearly, a process audit is a method for unbiased analysis and evaluation of the product development and implementation process, as well as to ensure customer satisfaction. This is what the terminology says. Let us understand what does VDA stand for, aim of the process audit. It says that what are the process steps? Process steps in the sense, all the 59 questions. What are the process steps to fulfill the process and product requirements? Whatever is given in your GA drawing or your machine shop drawing or your requirements, those process and product requirements and specifications has to be fulfilled. For that, what are the processes we are following, the process steps? So this is called as the aim of the process audit. So when you have an aim and when you are not able to achieve the aim and when you have some practical difficulties, those practical difficulties in some areas are called as discrepancies. So those discrepancies with regard to your process risk or product risk are documented as audit finding when you run through the VDA look for checklist. So those discrepancies, you have to see that whether how far a non-conforming product potentially has not gone there, what extent potentially a non-conforming product is expected to reach the customer based on your audit findings and the associated risk. Suppose your audit finding says there is a grave risk, then you stop the line straight away. So VDA gives that flexibility to take some calculated risk. Suppose the potential NC product to reach the customer is 0 based on your audit findings. Only few corrections has to be done internally to strengthen the VDA process. Then you can continue with the current production, but parallelly take actions. But when there is a risk of the product to reach the customer, then you must stop the production and take actions on the associated risk, correct the process, then carry out the production. So this is what they say about a definition of a process audit, the aim of the process audit, and the objective of the process audit. So with this, I end this session. So in the next session, I will be covering these topics. Because it is very lengthy, I want to cover it into 2 sessions. The final session, you have the exclusions, the usage of VDA 6.3, the types of certified auditors, what the VDA recommends, internal certified auditors, all these types we will see. How to conduct a potential analysis audit in the shop floor, how it is done by the customer, what are the assessment outcome of the individual questions of P1, what is there, and how to carry out an VDA audit based on a product group. Because if you take a customer specific standard who practices VDA 6.3, they emphasize on product groups. So you must conduct audit based on product groups. That justification should be there. And the scope of the audit can be anything, either one process element like P6 production alone, or you can classify as a series production. Series production means P5, P6, P7. Or if you do an audit during development phase, it will be P2, P3, P4. Whatever you do, the classification should be based on the product group so that nothing is missed out. For example, in Foundry, we can say it as it is a single piece flow. So we can say it as melting is one product group, pouring is one product group. So when I combine everything, I get a final one product. So that each and every process area is given 100% importance and all the 59 questions are being checked whether it has been addressed properly. So this is called as evaluation of product groups. generally this product group concept is being applied in the car industry. Then evaluating a process audit and the overall results. So then hierarchy for downgrading from A to B. When you put scoring as A, under what conditions criteria you downgrade it to B, even though you get a good mark, say around 90-95%, then also there is a possibility that you may downgrade to B, or you may be downgraded to C. There is a possibility. The scoring will be perfect, but one single question, key question, if you have not answered properly, then the downgrading may come down to B or C. So hierarchy of downgrading and the re-audits. So these topics, I will cover it in the next session because it is elaborate. So thank you for patiently listening to my speech. Thank you. Any questions you can ask? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, this is Kumar from Sri Venkatachalapati Alliance.
Yes, sir. Yes, Kumar, sir.
Yes, sir. Is it a mandatory requirement for some customers, or we can follow as per our wish or desire?
No, sir. Whenever you have business with the European customers, generally, specifically German-based customers, they ask for this standard. IATF is the mandatory requirement, but when you want to do a business with the German-based companies, they say IATF or VDA 6.1 plus VDA 6.3 is a requirement.
Okay. Is there any audit methodology from third party for VDA?
We don't have an audit methodology from third party, sir.
Okay.
Generally, TUV South Asia is the authorized person to do VDA QMC training in India.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
They give us training. We need to go through the standard book and we have to conduct the audits.
Okay.
The
Okay.
VDA, they call it as
we have to follow our own.
Yes, sir. We have to follow the book, complete book. We should not skip anything. That the customer says as self-audit, what we call as internal audit. Here the terminology is self-audit.
Okay, sir.
Right, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions, gentlemen?
Any questions in the chat box?
No questions.
No.
No questions.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, this is Prasanna from Brazil, India.
Yes, sir.
And sir, hope this certificate is valid for 5 years.
Which one, sir? VDA certificate, sir?
Yes, VDA certificate.
No, sir. VDA is valid for 3 years.
Actually, we have completed this VDA course 2023. They told me like this is for 5 years validity.
Okay, sir. Then you might be right. I did an December 2016, the previous version course I did it.
Yeah, that is 3 years. Previous one is 3 years.
Okay, sir. I did an upgradation now for this VDA, the latest version. It was a 1-day class.
Okay.
Maybe your information is right. I'm not sure.
And one more thing that after 5 years to renewal anything we need to submit like that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What I did for this December 2016 version, I will tell you. I did this course in 2019.
Okay.
So when it came to 2022, I need to submit 5 audit reports, a complete audit report of P2 to P7, either the supplier or the internal audit. 5 reports along with the corrective action, everything from the auditee. I have to submit to TUV South Asia. They will validate. If everything is okay, then you are qualified for the next 3 years, provided you have 1-day training class. In a 1-day training class, you have to successfully pass the on-site evaluation. There will be an online test. Once you clear that online exam, you will be given a email. You'll be emailed a certificate.
Okay, sir. Okay. So maybe same will be applicable to this version also.
Yes, sir. It will be the same. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Is there any other questions? Okay. Let me conclude with a vote of thanks. Gentlemen, today we had an excellent presentation from Mr. Suresh Babu of Madras Engineering. Yeah, we had detailed presentation on VDA 6.3. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Suresh Babu, for your time and detailed presentation. And you are ready to present the part 2 also. Thank you so much. And it is very informative. And I think why we are not getting the rejection, the reason could be we should implement the VDA so that we know the reasons which are all controlled under the analysis. So it is very much useful to the foundry. And yeah, it is. I think most of the foundries may not uh, 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 have this standard. So I request everyone go through the VDA 6.3 and implement to get the benefit. So thank you participants, and thank you Chennai chapter, and thank you members from other chapters. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, sir.